not the subject of 8 years of war, where your cities were showered with missiles, carrying chemical warheads, and you did not have a single missile to retaliate.
We will be instituting the highest level of economic sanction. Any nation that helps Iran in its quest for nuclear weapons could also be strongly sanctioned by the United States. My fellow Americans, today I want to update the world on our efforts to prevent Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon. The Iranian regime is the leading state sponsor of terror. It exports dangerous missiles, fuels conflicts across the Middle East, and supports terrorist proxies and militias such as Hezbollah, Hamas, the Taliban, and al-Qaeda. Over the years, Iran and its proxies have bombed American embassies and military installations, murdered hundreds of American service members, and kidnapped, imprisoned, and tortured American citizens. The Iranian regime has funded its long reign of chaos and terror. The so-called Iran deal was supposed to protect the United States and our allies from the lunacy of an Iranian nuclear bomb, a weapon that will only endanger the survival of the Iranian regime.
Israeli airstrikes reported to have occurred near the capital of Syria. Syrian officials said 2 missiles were shot down in Kisweh, south of Damascus. Now, this took place just an hour after Donald Trump announced that the US was withdrawing from the Iran nuclear deal. Israel claims that Iran was planning an imminent attack from Syria in the north of Israel. Local journalist from Damascus, Mohammed Ali, told us more about the current situation.
The only official news we have is from the Syrian Army Command, which confirmed that, yes, there was an Israeli attack and that the Syrian air defense systems was able to repel that attack and shoot down 2 missiles that targeted Al-Kisweh area. No other reactions from local officials, and the reports on the ground suggest that there were no casualties, because if we look at what the Syrian army said, it said that it shot down the only 2 Israeli missiles that were fired at that area, Al-Kisweh, meaning that it could be true that there was no casualties on the ground. Previously, there were several similar attacks, and of course, this attack comes shortly after Israel announced it believes that Iran is planning to attack Israel from Syria.
Okay, just to recap, reports coming from Syria say that explosions were heard in the south of Damascus. It comes after the Israeli army announced it believed Iran was about to carry out an imminent attack from Syria. For its part, Syria reported Israeli jets entered the country's airspace. Also, earlier on Tuesday, President Trump said the US would pull out of the Iran nuclear deal. Let's cross live now to Israeli journalist Yael Shir, joins us on the line to give us a perspective from that part of the world. Yael, what kind of information now is coming out of Israel on this story?
Yes, just minutes after Trump's speech today, in which he declared that the U.S. would be withdrawing from the Iran nuclear deal of 2015, Israel's begun preparing for a strike and has lined up missile defenses on the Golan border with Syria. There have been a few unusual sightings in Syria, and the IDF has been put on maximum alert. There have been loud explosions just south of the Syrian capital of Damascus. There is also a concern of an Iranian strike into Israel to retaliate for two things. First, of course, the declaration today for the withdrawal of the nuclear deal, as well as the strike on the T4 airbase last month, which killed 14 people, including senior Iranian officials.
So tensions continue between the countries. I just wondered, what's the opinion in Israel of the US pulling out of the Iran nuclear deal? Is there a lot of public support for that?
There is a lot of public support, and it seems like the IDF is now also on high alert. They've ordered public bomb shelters in the northern regions to open, including the Golan Heights, Tiberias, Tzfat, and the Galilee. And they've actually issued a statement that said, quote, the IDF has decided to change the civilian protection instructions in the Golan Heights and instructs local authorities to unlock and ready shelters in the area. So it looks like they're on high alert. Also, all school trips in the area have been canceled by the Education Ministry up to the Golan.
In other words, at the point when the United States had maximum leverage, this disastrous deal gave this regime, and it's a regime of great terror, many billions of dollars, some of it in actual cash. A great embarrassment to me as a citizen and to all citizens of the United States. A constructive deal could easily have been struck at the time, but it wasn't. At the heart of the Iran deal was a giant fiction that a murderous regime desired only a peaceful nuclear energy program. Today, we have definitive proof that this Iranian promise was a lie. Last week, Israel published intelligence documents, long concealed by Iran, conclusively showing the Iranian regime and its history of pursuing nuclear weapons. The fact is, this was a horrible, one-sided deal that should have never, ever been made. It didn't bring calm, it didn't bring peace, and it never will. In the years since the deal was reached, Iran's military budget has grown by almost 40%, while its economy is doing very badly. After the sanctions were lifted, the dictatorship used its new funds to build nuclear-capable missiles, support terrorism, and cause havoc throughout the Middle East and beyond. The agreement was so poorly negotiated that even if Iran fully complies, the regime can still be on the verge of a nuclear breakout in just a short period of time. The deal's sunset provisions are totally unacceptable. If I allowed this deal to stand, there would soon be a nuclear arms race in the Middle East. Everyone would want their weapons ready by the time Iran had theirs. Making matters worse, the deal's inspection provisions lack adequate mechanisms to prevent, detect, and punish cheating, and don't even have the unqualified right to inspect many important locations, including military facilities. Not only does the deal fail to halt Iran's nuclear ambitions, but it also fails to address the regime's development of ballistic missiles that could deliver nuclear warheads. Finally, the deal does nothing to constrain Iran's destabilizing activities, including its support for terrorism. Since the agreement, Iran's bloody ambitions have grown only more brazen. In light of these glaring flaws, I announced last October that the Iran deal must either be renegotiated or terminated. 3 months later, on January 12th, I repeated these conditions. I made clear that if the deal could not be fixed, the United States would no longer be a party to the agreement. Over the past few months, we have engaged extensively with our allies and partners around the world, including France, Germany, and the United Kingdom. We have also consulted with our friends from across the Middle East. We are unified in our understanding of the threat and in our conviction that Iran must never acquire a nuclear weapon. After these consultations, it is clear to me that we cannot prevent an Iranian nuclear bomb under the decaying and rotten structure of the current agreement. The Iran deal is defective at its core. If we do nothing, we know exactly what will happen. In just a short period of time, the world's leading state sponsor of terror will be on the cusp of acquiring the world's most dangerous weapons. Therefore, I am announcing today that the United States will withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal. In a few moments, I will sign a presidential memorandum to begin reinstating U.S. nuclear sanctions on the Iranian regime. We will be instituting the highest level of economic sanction. Any nation that helps Iran in its quest for nuclear weapons could also be strongly sanctioned by the United States.